to the unofficial Disney Tonight Show podcast.
Please welcome my friend and your host, Mr. David Studebaker.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. We have an amazing episode. Right there in that corner is one of the greatest humans in the world. We'll get to that, but first, Jake Taylor, welcome in. Luke LaCoy, how you doing? Hello there, Mando. Hello, James Creviston. What's up in Vegas? Although you're not in Vegas, but your Vegas has stolen your heart. Vegas will always be a part of you. I'm David Studebaker. This is in that corner is one of my oldest and dearest and best friends. He and we go back to third grade. Third grade we go back. But the reason why he's on this show is he was one of the greatest people who ever worked at the Disney Animation Story Department. So great that they banished him to the dungeon of the audio recording department. But you know what? They don't deserve him. But he's done a lot of amazing stuff in the industry, in LA. He's gone on a lot of awkward dates in Hollywood. He is a plethora of amazing Hollywood stories. And he's just an incredible guy. And, you know, he makes me happy. And so we're having him on the show to talk about Disney and Hollywood and just the overall world of Oren Peleg. So welcome in Oren Peleg. Give him a hand, everyone. So first off, you're
happy to be here.
Yeah. So thank you, Oren. So I got to say, one thing I was going to do as a prank, because there's another Oren Peleg in Hollywood who's a big writer and filmmaker too. He worked in film, right?
Yeah.
So filmmaker, writer, big time guy. And I was going to, as a prank, email the team that Oren Peleg and have them just ask you questions about the other him. Oren Peleg and completely confuse them and you. But I figured, you know what, we'll play it straight ahead. That actually does happen a lot to you because your names are spelled the same, right?
Spelled exactly the same. I've known him. We both went to film school at the same time, different film schools. So I used to get actresses contacting me through Facebook, would love to audition for your film, and I am not making a film. He's actually, I want to make sure I get this in. He's a really nice guy. We are friends. He's a very prominent food writer in LA. So, I mean, even I was telling David right before this that I was at a restaurant last night, and the manager of the restaurant, you sign in your name on the operating software to place your order, and I put in my first and last name, and he comes up to me, like, oh my God, like, how do you not come say hi? And we'd love to get you to write a piece about us, and like, what do you think of the food, and because
everywhere you go, every restaurant you go to, they think this is their big break, that Oren Peleg is coming to review.
Yeah. I mean, and I just tell everybody, he's the nicer, smarter, better looking version of me. So tough luck, you got me right now. But no, really good guy. He writes a lot for LAist and LA Magazine. He wrote a piece about about Coachella, and there were all these people contacting me like, what, Oren, you write about Coachella? And everyone knows me, Oren would never go near Coachella.
And for those listening, we're going to get to it. Oren also is or was a journalist. He wrote for the Jewish Journal, which is a fairly big publication. So it's not like outside of the realm of possibility if he's writing for LAist that could be you writing. So, but then during quarantine, tell the quarantine story.
Yeah. He wrote this really, again, everyone should look it up. It's a really beautiful, very moving essay about living alone during the, and to make sure. So I have a girlfriend and a dog, and I haven't been alone during quarantine. So he wrote this very moving essay. It's raw and honest, and again, everyone should read it. But I had an outpouring of support from my network of, oh my God, I had no idea, why didn't you reach out? We're here for you, and so he's, I hope, and I think he's doing better because we talked, we exchanged text, I think. So yeah, he's a good guy. He's doing okay from what I understand. But yeah, it's been yeah. I mean, a girl in my book club went on a date with him and like came back and reported to me about like, you know, the differences between him and I, you know, like
He's a little bit taller. His breath smells better.
Yeah. I just enjoyed his company more, you know. Yeah.
I honestly, I didn't know about the actresses hitting you up on Facebook. That is really funny.
Well, and it's funny because like, well, I guess I'm assuming we'll talk about when I worked at Disney. But when I worked at Disney and I worked on a couple of movies, like his friends would hit him up like, "Oh, I didn't know you worked on this." So let me tell you my favorite one. It's really cool. I have a friend back home who like literally would say, "I don't believe you that there's another Oren Peleg," and I'm literally FaceTiming with her, walking down the street. And I literally run into, because he also lives in Koreatown, and I run into him as I'm FaceTiming and go, oh my God, this is the other Oren Peleg right here. It's me with like more facial hair and glasses right here. And that was very satisfying.
That's crazy.
It felt very
That's
validating.
Awesome. You know? Yeah, no, well done. So we'll jump right into Disney animation. When you were there, you worked with, because you were in the story department, so you were working with some of the biggest directors in Disney history. And most people would think, wow, that's really exciting and stimulating. But you also can fall asleep quicker and easier than any human I've ever met in my life. So tell us a good Oren falling asleep on the job story.
Yeah, I do have a good one. I worked on this. I was working on this really awesome project. Unfortunately, it'll never get made. It got canned, but it was so cool. I feel like I can talk about it. And if I get sued, then so be it. But it would have been so cool. It was basically going to be about these like little plant creatures that like live at the speed of like plants, so they perceive humans as these like blurs. It was a really poignant, like, you know, story of like, you know, humanizing the other, and like humans are perceived to be this horrible evil, and then a little plant creature befriends a human, but they're living at different paces of life. It's like it was really cool.
Nothing kills with kids like photosynthesis. That's really it's a laugh a minute.
Yeah, it was gonna murder. It would have been great. But yeah, I was in. So the way it works is like early on in the development stage, I was assigned to this project, and they have artists come in to present work, and they're building the world of a movie. And it's the office is in Burbank in the Valley. It's like, in August, it's like 115 degrees, so just put yourself there at like 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. They dim the lights, and this like 75-year-old man, like with a Brooklyn drawl is like, presenting, this is the forest, and giving this presentation. Oh God, every voice I do sounds like that's true. And he's doing this presentation, and they turn off the lights, and I just passed out immediately. And it's myself, the artist, and the co-directors in the room.
Wow.
And I just woke up to being pegged in the face by that little bouncy ball by the director of the movie.
And I keep in mind, he's not naming names, but like these are the biggest directors in the history film.
I was a few years out of college,
just asleep on their shoulder.
Yeah, I was a few years out of college. It was like a big job for me, and then I go outside and I call my mom and I said, I'm gonna get fired today. Like that's it's over. And I was definitely convinced I was getting fired for sure. And then you know how these stupid office jobs work. I don't care where you work; they're all kind of the same. Like, you get an email, like, "Hey, we need you to," even though they're like 10 feet away from you, and like we're gonna have a meeting, and everyone just burst out laughing at me. It was actually pretty cool. I really was like ready to get canned, and they were like, don't ever do that again. But that was pretty funny. I was lucky because the directors of the movie really liked me, so I think if they had, if they were looking for a reason to get rid of me, there it was right there, you know. So they liked me, luckily.
That is what a great way to handle it. Yeah, just laugh at the guy. It's hilarious, you know, and that's great.
Yeah, I don't know if I was great at my job, but you know, they were nice. They liked
well, what was your overall experience like working at Disney Animation, other than falling asleep and getting laughed at?
I mean, it's, you know, like it really was cool to get a peek behind the curtain and see, you know, what it's like, and there's like, you know, lots of really cool things. Like there's a cereal bar. You can get any kind of cereal 24/7, which is really awesome. So that was great.
Grape nuts. They have grape nuts.
I love you're working at the apex of film, and you're like, God, you know, just the cereal, the free cereal was just
free cereal. There's Dave, when you visited me there, you probably saw, but there's like they call it so it's modeled, the architect, the same architect as Pixar, because they're sister companies, and so they have this philosophy of like having like a central area where everyone gets coffee and like has meetings, so that the idea is that everyone, because I worked in development, which is on the 3rd floor, it's kind of like this sacred place, like you can't bring guests up there, and it's like very secretive because that's where all the movies that aren't announced yet are being developed. So everyone's supposed to sort of cross paths in this coffee commissary, and you get, you know, free coffee. And there was a wonderful gentleman, a barista there, who's gay, and he, like, there was a joke that he like would, you know, hit on people, but he never hit on me, and it like infuriated me. And like everyone in my department would, like, you know, had like their Carlos story of like, you know, like, and I couldn't get like a cutie or a sweetheart, like nothing, you know. So I spent like 3 years just like, why won't this
flirting with him?
What am I doing?
Come on,
wrong?
Carlos.
What do I have to do?
Today's the
How
day.
many buttons do we have to do?
And a wonderful guy.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So cereal and rejection. That's basically
cereal, rejection, coffee. I mean, all kind. Well, okay. You mean like what was the creative? Like,
well, yeah, and also, I mean, because you were there at an interesting time. That was kind of the renaissance of Disney animation, because John Lasseter had just come over a little bit ago, and they had done Tangled, and they had done, you know, they were. You worked on Frozen as well, but they were, you know, it was in that. It was in.
I got there right when Wreck-It Ralph was coming out.
Wreck-It Ralph, that's what it was. Yeah, so it was right in that time where they were kind of trying to be on the level of Pixar, and so that was like it was a cool time, I would think, to be there. Dynamic.
It was a really cool time. It was a cool time. I mean, I got there in time to get a Frozen bonus. So that was cool. I mean, you know, it was a good time, and yeah, I mean, it was cool to. There was a lot of, you know, momentum and excitement, and yeah, I mean, and getting to be in story meetings with all these brilliant people, like, because that was, so my job was just to support directors and writers when they were, you know, in the early stages, when it's kind of like a really wonderful stage of the creative process, because yes, there are deadlines to hit and whatnot, but you have a lot of freedom. You're sort of just in a room talking about, you know, film and films you love and how they might influence the story you're working on, and you're going on, I didn't get to go, but you're going on research trips, and like, for instance, that film I was telling you guys about, like, they did an awesome trip to the Sequoia National Forest, and the Moana guys like went to, you know, Polynesia, and you know, all kinds of amazing things to really make sure that they are like doing their homework and getting it right.
By the way, heady play on the Moana guys. Like, yeah, you know what? We should do a movie in Polynesia. You know, I hate to have to go do research, but I guess we'll have to go.
Yeah, they're smart guys. They knew what they were doing, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I think I could be wrong. I feel like the Zootopia guys went on safari.
There's no rabbits in
Zootopia.
I could be wrong. They definitely like went on some cool trips. Oh, I remember they did a Vegas trip. I remember, because I don't know if in Zootopia they the city they designed, they got some inspiration from Vegas, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Zootopia, you could just basically go anywhere, like because they recreated so many different places.
Right. Oh, they did a New York trip for sure. Yeah.
Just
But
whenever.
yeah, they're really good guys, the Zootopia guys. But yeah, it was amazing. Like I still remember like, I mean, I know Lasseter has his issues, but like it was pretty interesting to be in a room and like, with the creator of Toy Story and Pixar and like hear him giving his thoughts on a film or sharing stories about Steve Jobs, like and getting to be right there and be a fly on the wall and yeah, it was amazing. It was a really, really cool experience. I tell people sometimes it was like grad school or something.
Well, and Jake has it queued up. So some of the bigger directors and animators, they would sketch like spoof caricatures of you. So
right, that's me.
yeah. So who did that
I like
one?
that one.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, I'll give you the context. So it's actually a really cool tradition they have there. They call it the caricature show. So it's like a wine and cheese art show, and everybody, they put out wine and cheese, and everyone there is an artist. So you draw your coworkers, and they adorn all the walls with these pictures, and everyone walks around, and it's really, really fun. This was me, I guess. And
not very complimentary.
shows you what they thought of me. Yeah.
This is why Carlos wouldn't hit on you.
Right. This is what I looked like. But they so this was his name is John Musker. He and his co-director did like Aladdin and The Little Mermaid and Treasure Planet, Moana.
They did Moana, yeah. They did Moana too.
Moana, yeah. But they're OG guys. Like they've been there forever, and they did Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
Yeah, no. He's one of the greats.
And this is John Musker, really good guy. It was funny because like he was one of there's like some guys who were just like legends, been there forever, and it's like really an honor to get drawn by them. But like you gotta remember
he does that to you.
Does that to me? No, it really was. It's pretty cool. I have a print of it here that he signed a print for me. But because they're sort of like
cool.
Yeah, they're like hidden away on the third floor. So like if you work in IT in the basement, like you don't even interact with these guys. So it's really kind of like he doesn't draw that many people,
Yeah.
And also, they don't have time to. He was busy making Moana, so it was kind of cool. He like he thought I was weird looking enough to take the time to draw me, and to show.
What was that interaction when he showed it to you? Or did you have to be like, "Wow, John, thanks"?
No, it was pretty funny. Like he so by this point, I had moved down to the basement to work in editorial, but I guess I made an impression. And he like kind of these guys are like really like kind of like they're guys who like just like to draw who end up becoming like Hollywood royalty. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not like they didn't get there by being like incredibly charismatic personalities. You know what I mean? So he kind of like shuffled down to the basement and like kind of hands me this wrapped like drawing. It just goes, this is for you, and I signed it for you. And he just kind of like muttered that and handed it to me, and I was like, oh man. And he gave it to me right before the show so I could see it before the show, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, really sweet guy.
And then we have the next one. This one's legendary. So
that's the guy who I fell asleep in front of and pegged me with the ball. Just by the way.
So he thought you were destined for prison, is what?
Yeah. So this is harkening back to the Netflix Orange is the New Black prison show.
I remember this guy was like giddy. He was so excited about this drawing. I didn't get to see it before. He's a really good guy also, but he kind of liked to give me crap. So I remember like before the show, he just kind of, and he's a funny like cadence of speech. He was kind of like, Oren, I got a great drawing of you for the show. And he was like so excited about it, and he kind of kept teasing like it's gonna be good. And then this was like the biggest hit of that art show. Like people like were obsessed with this drawing. It was really funny. Can I pee?
Yeah, you can go pee.
Okay, I'll be back in 15 seconds. Okay.
You know what? That's perfect. We're gonna stop your video, and then
Mute him just in case.
hold on. For our people watching at home, it'll just be another moment. Apologize, live TV.
I'm gonna eat a whole handful of Jelly Bellies now.
Hey, go for it.
Oh, people watch live.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought we were editing everything. So I was like, oh, I can go pee. You can edit it out. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Oh dear. Sorry.
It's okay. Just my mom is watching.
Yeah.
Hi, Jake's mom. My apologies.
And actually, before we go back in time, no, you're good, Oren. You're good. Before we go back in time, Mando, do you have a question for Oren?
I do have a question for you. Who is the most famous person you have ever met?
I got to meet Dave Chappelle one time.
Yeah,
that was pretty. I was 16. This is a great story. Because it's a two for one. I was 16 and my friend and I called in on a radio show and we got tickets to see Chappelle at the Punchline in San Francisco.
My home club, my dear Punchline.
Amazing place. And but we were too young to go alone. So my friend, it was Ethan, David. So my friend Ethan, his dad took us to the show. You couldn't, My dad is probably someone who could use a comedy club more than anyone, but would never go.
Oh, he's amazing.
And so Ethan's dad is a wonderful Greek gentleman named Agamemnon. And so Agamemnon took us to the show. Chappelle was incredible. He killed. And of course, and this was right after, he went to South Africa and came back. And he finishes his set and he goes, all right, everyone, I swear I get to meet him, I promise. But he goes, all right, everyone, now for a young up and coming comedian, Mr. Robin Williams. And I was like, is there another Robin Williams? Like, yeah. And it was Robin. And he came out and no one knew he was going to be there. It was amazing. And so the show finishes and everyone's leaving and Agamemnon is kind of standing there like very stoic and they're trying to kick everyone out. And this big security guard's like, hey, friends and family only. And he goes, I know Robin. And so for context, he's a sound designer and he worked on Flubber. Big security guard doesn't believe him. And then Rob Williams like comes out and just yells, Ag, hey. And so we get to stick around where there's like no one in the club basically. And so I got to meet Robin Williams. I was 16 and we're just talking. He's the nicest man you will ever meet. Such a sweetheart. Asking us questions, like engaged, like great. So I was a huge Chappelle fan, like was the show and everything, huge fan. So we're talking to Robin Williams and I get distracted because Chappelle walks right past us smoking a cigarette. And I would never do this now, but I was 16 and I was like, oh my, so I stopped him and I was like, Mr. Chappelle, like I can't remember what I said, but what I do remember vividly, he also, what a great guy. So friendly. Did not have to talk to me. It was so nice.
He helped save the Punchline. It was Google was going to buy the Punchline, or they bought that property, but they were going to clear out the Punchline literally so that their employees in one of the nearby buildings could play ping pong. They were going to clear out the most legendary venue in Bay Area history of like anything. And but Chappelle was one of the main people who got on board and fought it and got it preserved. Sorry, continue.
That's good. No, so I just said to him like, hey, I have that. There's a question I've always wanted to ask you. And do you guys remember the Clayton Bigsby sketch?
Yes, it's one of the best sketches ever.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just messing with me or not, but I said, hey, like I think that's the most genius thing I've ever seen. How did you come up with that? And he told me that his great grandfather was blind, and that it was in an orphanage, and that he was lied to for years and told he was white. And but like I kind of feel like he was messing with me. I don't believe him, but that's what he said. And I was like so stunned, and we kind of, it was amazing because he and I shared a laugh. Like I laughed and then he laughed because I probably was laughing like an idiot. And then my friend Ethan kind of like piggybacked, and he kind of just came into our conversation, and he made a joke about like how Ethan like kind of looked like a prom king, because he does.
Yeah, he does.
And then that I didn't look like a prom king. And I mean, I was on Accutane and had, you know, my second stint on braces, and I think like everyone at the time was kind of like, what are you two do? Are you doing his homework?
Yeah.
Or like, you know?
Ethan was like wide receiver on the football team, Greek god, you know, and in our episode that we filmed with actor Casey Adler, who is a good friend of ours, who also happens to be the star of The Big Bris, the great film that Oren co-wrote with me and directed. First of all, how did you feel about the interview we did with Casey? Because you came up a lot.
Yeah, I have some thoughts, you know. I spoke to Mr. Adler after the interview, and there's all this talk of, you guys probably assumed I'm like a rabbi or something.
For anyone, I mean, you should go back and watch the episode. But if you haven't seen it, I believe the exact word that the phrase Casey used was, Casey said, "I'm Jewish, but Oren is really Jewish. Oren loves being Jewish." So I
mean, yeah, I do love being Jewish. I don't know if I do any more or any less than anyone else. I was born into it. It's what I am. But yeah, Casey did go on and on about just how Jewish I am, and
how Jewish is he?
I drive a car on Saturday. I'm not.
What did you say? What did you say to me? You said that when you watched it, you felt like people were going to expect when you came on that you were going to have.
I was going to have like the curls, and reciting prayers for you guys.
A yarmulke.
A yarmulke, the whole thing.
Singing Hava
Nagila, So I don't know what he's, I mean, yes, I made a movie where he played a comedian who was going to get circumcised. But so it goes. Who hasn't?
And so we talked a lot about the Big Bris, so we don't have to go into it too much. But do you have any funny stories of your experience? Because we all had very different experiences working on that. You dealt with so much. I mean, you were like that. You were legitimately. It felt, I mean, you were dealing with what it seems like a big budget film director would deal with. The amount of personalities you were juggling on that thing was crazy.
I made the really stupid decision in film school to make movies that involved working with kids and dealing with their parents this is something they don't tell you. When you cast a kid in a movie, you will be texted by their mom for the rest of your life. When's the next one? I feel like I'm still in touch with they're in touch with me. So that's.
Hey, you had James Eckhouse. You had some good actors in the Big Bris.
Yeah, I was really. I think one of my favorite memories is I found this guy to play like a very like a sage. Like a Jewish sage, like who just imparts wisdom, like this rabbi, the one who performs the circumcision. This guy was a brilliant actor, like runs his own theater company. Like he ended up being in a Coen Brothers film after. Like great, yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
I found this terrific guy, like literally like Tevye.
He was great. He was amazing.
Yeah, and you can't like I really lucked out, and of course he got like a paid job like the day before, so he had to drop out, and so. Like 2 days before, so I have to like scramble to find, because we're gonna go shoot this thing. So I find this guy who's like the closest, like the best I can do. In short, with no budget.
He looked. I mean, at least he had the look.
He looked okay. Yeah. The other guy looked like Bibb.
No, the other guy was
like
perfect.
yeah, it was amazing. And I found this crazy painting of like an old wise rabbi with a beard. And the guy I originally thought kind of looked like the guy in the painting. So it was like you'd see him in the frame and the painting right behind it. It was like it was gonna be so cool.
It was perfect.
Yeah, man. So I got this guy who like he had to say some line like something about like the circumcision was no good or something like that. I can't remember.
It was an easy line. It was an easy line. I was there. It was an easy line.
And I just couldn't get this guy to do it. It was like I can't remember the line. It was something like the circumcision was no good, and every time it was like the circumcision is no good. Like, or it was like every which way, but he just couldn't get it. Good. Yeah, it just like was so bizarre.
And let me say,
was it Captain Kirk that he hired to do it?
What?
Was it Captain Kirk that he hired?
That did kind of sound like a shot.
But Oren was shooting on film. So when you're shooting on film, you don't have like, number one, it's just he had a tight schedule, and this was a legit production. So they had a huge amount of people out working on it. And when things get slowed down like that, it's really bad. So this guy, I mean, it took, maybe I'm exaggerating, Oren, but to me, being there, it felt like half the day was just this one line at the dinner table. And then can you talk about what happened then after instead of looking at the script when there was a break, what was he doing?
Yeah, he was applying on LA Casting, like submitting for other roles.
He was submitting for other roles while he's taking it.
Yeah. And everyone feels it when that's happening. Everyone on the set like knows, like we're all waiting for this one guy. I got in a car accident because I was yelling at my production designer at one point. Like it was just like, and I'm not a yeller. It was just like, it was because I just can't take this kind of incompetence. Like there's a dinner scene with 5 people and she set the table for 4 people, and I was like, come on, like just. Yeah. Anyways, so I was like, there's 5 people. Get me another plate. Come on.
He does Sandler and Seinfeld. This is
I was just going to say.
Where's the table? I need the table.
Maybe I am as Jewish as Casey.
You are. You're totally.
So, Jake, do you have a question for Oren?
I did. So out of all the projects you've worked on in your life, Disney or not Disney, what's your favorite?
Oh man.
Stumped him.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't work on it a lot, but I really.
He's gonna say Frozen.
No, oh my God. You know what? Frozen. So on Frozen, I filled in the effects department for a guy on paternity leave for a few weeks, and I was in the effects department while they were working on Let It Go. So I had to listen to that song like a billion times before anyone else even ever heard it. And it haunts my every waking moment. Oh my God.
And actually, I forgot to jump in. Well, actually, go say what you were going to say. But then
all I was say is, Jake, I would say I'm really proud to have my name on Zootopia. I think it's a really great movie.
I love that movie. It's out in theaters. I actually saw it at Disneyland.
Oh, really?
The theater when it was still open. I love that movie.
It's a really terrific movie.
So,
actually, can I tell you really quickly? I'll never forget. Like so there's one thing about when you work in development, like they're doing all this research, right, all the time, and you want to, at least for me, I was like, you always want to like try to impress them with like, oh, you got to check this out. This would be a great thing to research, and sometimes that means presenting it to them or whatever. But there's this guy who, what's his name is like Bernard Krause or something, and he's known for producing music using only the audio from nature. So he takes like animal noises or like the recording ambiance in a jungle and then puts it together to make like an album, and it's pretty amazing actually. and they were like trying to figure out the sound of Zootopia. I'm like, you guys got to talk to this guy. Like I'm telling, I heard him on like an NPR interview or something. I'm like, and you know, like at Disney, like they can get this guy. So I was like, you got us. And I was thinking like, man, they're gonna love this. And so they're like, yeah, it sounds cool. And when he came to the studio to do like a consultancy thing for them and speak to them, I went down there and he was just like, look, I'm sure he's a brilliant guy, but just kind of like he's like speaks in a very quiet voice, just a very like kind of awkward guy. And I just remember, and so they came out of the meeting being like, yeah, we got nothing out of that. Like he just like didn't really like know how to talk to us, and he kind of just knows like audio production. Really, it was like this really like this big failure for me. I kind of wasted 3 hours of their lives. But anyway, yeah.
So like for that, let it go on replay.
Send him back
to the
dungeon.
Yeah.
So speaking of the same thing in your ear over and over again. So after you were in the story department, they transferred you down into the basement into the audio recording department, or it's what did you call it? The effect editorial. So that's where they record the voice actors doing their lines and stuff, which seems like it would be cool, but becomes very monotonous. And because in animation films they have them say the same line like 400,000 different ways. So you went from being in these high level meetings doing all that to just like pressing play and listening to Maya Rudolph say, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Like that, right? That's what it became.
Yeah, that's what it was. So early on when they're working on these films, before they have a voice cast, they draw out the whole movie and they use in people who work there to like, provide the temporary voices. It's called the scratch actors. So when they were getting Moana ready, I got to the Musker, the guy who drew me, wanted me to do to play one of Moana's brothers, and the cool thing is sometimes your voice stays in the movie, which means residuals. So it gets kind of heated sometimes, but like actually, but because I was down there, because he already knew me, he's like, who can be an annoying young person? Because I just like tease Moana. Yeah, exactly. So that was probably the perk was like, because I was already down there, which is a bonus. Like he's like, yeah, just come in the studio real quick and record these lines, Moana, just like.
Did they keep any of them?
They didn't keep it. They cut the character, actually. But I was.
You were too annoying. You were like too annoying.
I know. There's like a canoe race or something that was in an earlier draft, and I'm like, you row like a girl, or I can't remember. But the whole studio gets to watch it.
They focus grouped it, and they're like, yeah, we love the movie, but who is that brother? I mean,
annoying. Got him out.
But that was kind of fun. That was the best part, to like be on the other side, to like be directed in a voice recording session by the guy who made Aladdin. That was cool. Yeah. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it's not glamorous. It's just like, okay, yeah, it's Maya Rudolph, but I'm just going.
Yeah. So anyway, on that,
she was lovely, by the way. She was lovely.
Yeah, I've actually, back in my days working at Nordstrom, I helped her a couple times, her and her family, and she's great. She's a very wonderful person. Yeah. So on that note, we are gonna do our sponsor break. Still in business. Last time around we heard that there may be a going out of business sale for our sponsor, but still here. So take it away, Mando.
The unofficial Disney Tonight Show is sponsored by Luke's eBay account. Items include a Random House America Sign Language Dictionary with over 4,500 fully illustrated signs. The next time a driver cuts you off, you'll tell them how you really feel. And a Hallmark porcelain doll. Surprise your friends and hide it in their room. You'll know they found it when you hear them scream. Will you hear screams of joy? Find all your favorite collectibles by searching Luke Tizzle or LaCoy Collectibles on eBay. Now back to you, David.
Oh yeah, Luke, did you have something?
Yeah, and also we do have a picture of one of our very happy winners of our raffles.
Yeah, the
And
George Washington Carver doll has been won by the great Brad Hogle.
Brad Hogle and George
Yeah.
hanging out. Look at that.
Yeah, way to
Dr.
go, Brad
Groot.
Hogle.
He looks very happy to have him.
Yeah, we love Brad, and
Like, thanks for-
you know what? Again, there's going to be no more new inventory for Luke's eBay account. So when it goes, it goes. So there are still these items, the George Washington Carver doll, all the different things we've talked about previously, still available, most of them. So don't miss out.
Thinking about getting that American Sign Language one. I really want to tell people how I feel while I'm driving.
That's how you do it. That's how you
And
do
I only
it.
have one way to express it right now.
Clean and classy. You can keep it clean and classy. So after Disney, you wrote for the Jewish Journal, and
This is very Jewish.
yeah.
I can explain.
You can explain. So hey, I mean, I love it. I always say you need to lean into it more and write more of the Big Bris and the whole thing. It's I love your Judaism and I love you. So, but writing for the Jewish Journal, do you have any? I went with you on one of, like, you reviewed a one-woman show for a woman who was in Seinfeld, and I experienced, like, you were it felt like I was with a celebrity. Like they were, and I loved because they were also trying to, it seemed like they thought you were this really, again, like the other Oren Peleg, like they thought you were this big time, journalist, and you were, but that, like, you had real pull. So weren't they like, it would be great if you could get us in on the LA Times, like,
Yeah. Thanks for being here, but get someone better over here.
Yeah, literally. They were like, oh, it's so great that you're reviewing the show.
Yeah.
But are you familiar with the LA Times editorial board? Can you get it?
You know the other Oren Peleg? That was, it was fun, like it really was fun. I still remember, like, when I left Disney, I was like, freelancing as a writer, a copywriter, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, maybe because I'm Jewish, they'll hire me. And so, and they did. It was great. And it was so funny because I started just doing what everyone else, didn't want to do. Like, I remember, like, can you cover the synagogue softball league? It was just like everything that no one wanted to do, so that was fun. And it really was. And I learned, actually, over time, I ended up learning a lot, and you get to, like, I got to learn a lot about the city, and so it was cool. I joke about it, but it was fun, and everyone there was great when I was there.
And then also I don't know if they're still doing the festival, but the San Luis Obispo Jewish Film Festival, the Big Bris got into, and they rolled out the red carpet for us too. We got a nice hotel and amazing.
I want to be
food.
clear. It also played at, like, other film festivals that were.
It did. No, I know. It got into Breckenridge and Palm Beach International, and there were a bunch of others, but that was just the one that was convenient there. And
I'm trying to think of, is there anything I do that doesn't have to do with Jewish stuff? Like, really
Lean into
racking
it.
my brain.
No, but I'm just saying, I only say that because you have been treated so well by the Jewish community.
Love my
you don't
Jews.
deserve it. So
love my Jews. They love me. It's give and take.
Speaking of things you love, you are a huge Muppet fan. James, do you have a question for Oren?
Yes. If you could voice any Muppet, which Muppet would you voice?
Oh my god. Oh.
James,
So
that's hard-hitting questions, hard-hitting journalism coming at you. Shoes on the other foot, you used to be the hard-hitting journalist. Now it's James.
Is there a Jewish Muppet?
Is there a Jewish Muppet? I don't know. Oh man, there should be.
Jewish Kermit.
Oh gosh. Because I'm trying to think. Okay, like, I'm gonna ignore. Like, I'm not gonna think about who I actually could voice.
Right.
I'm just gonna try to think about, like, which personality fits me. I'm gonna go Gonzo.
Oh, that's good.
I think
Can we get a Gonzo impression?
I
It
can
doesn't
see
matter if
that.
it's bad. No, you
No,
gotta do it.
I can't
gotta
do it because I made it very clear. I was not going to think about which one I actually could. I can do Kermit. I can do Kermit.
Give us Kermit. Give us Kermit.
Kermit.
Kermit's like the rainbow connection, lovers, dreamers, and me.
Oh, Kirby. Beautiful. Thank you, Oren. Kermit the Frog, everyone.
Yeah, I think my personality probably fits Kermit more, but Gonzo's so fun, and I love like everything out of his mouth. You're like, what? I love that so much. And he's so adventurous. I wish I could be like Gonzo. I guess I love Gonzo's like zest for life.
Yeah,
and
willingness to die.
Speaking of willingness to die, we talked about in a previous episode, one of our laugh hours, episode 6. We talked about the Disneyland jail and my run-in with the Disneyland police. Ooh. Didn't you, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a friend at Chapman. I don't know if this is the same person, but I recall you saying you had a friend who either was put in the Disneyland jail or was banned from Disneyland for sneaking in.
I have snuck in many times too.
Oh, that's right, you did too. Oh, we have
my friend and I don't know if people are aware. They were called Disney detectives, and you had these guys who literally would like trench coat, like whip out like the badge inside the trench coat. Very intimidating, but also like hilarious.
They're like the library detectives in Seinfeld.
I know, borderline pathetic also, but yeah, exactly. And they took their job very seriously, and every time...
do. I know. We were with the patrol police, but they were very serious. I can only imagine how, because detective's another level. So the plainclothes detective is
the plainclothes is there. Yeah, it was. But every time I got caught, they asked for your information, and I always give my friend Jordan Lewis's information every time I got.
No, you did. Okay, and you don't know Disneyland. Jordan Lewis is a professional basketball player. He looks very different from Oren. He is a cut.
Does he though? Does he though? Am I not 6'5", 240? Yeah.
That's funny. Jordan. Someday Jordan's gonna go to Disneyland, and they're gonna be like, "You can't."
I know. He's gonna be there with all his wife and his kids for a vacation, and it's like, we got him. You know, Disneyland's most wanted. Yeah. Lock him up. Throw away the key. Yeah. It's but it was always really fun. I knew when I got caught, I'm like, great, I get to give Jordan's info again.
Before we go to the Disney Pivo questions, Luke, you got something for Oren?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any advice for those who would like to start or get into the film industry.
Oh my gosh.
Work as a Manny. Oren worked as a Manny for some film directors.
Yes, I was a Manny to the stars for a little while. That was fun. I learned how to cook there and how to cry in a closet alone. What's happening here? It really is all about relationships. And I'm assuming that's not revelatory to anybody, but it really is like, and I think that I think the way I got a job at Disney Animation is a really good example. Like I had an internship. I was working. I had a paid internship on a soap opera, All My Children, which was like I don't know, Susan Lucci, the Queen of Daytime.
Lucci.
Yeah. And that was really fun. And I still remember. I was given an assignment because I'm so bad at all my jobs. I called the wrong office, and because I was trying to settle some payroll thing, and I ended up on the phone with this woman at payroll at the main studio. At Disney, because soap opera was with ABC, and I remember I should just talk to this woman, even though I'm supposed to call someone else. So I just got to chatting with her, and she was this lovely woman who just enjoyed a break in her day to talk to someone, and I was like, And I remember at the time I was like, cultivate relationships. So I just kept talking to her, and I just said like, hey, Rhonda, like, you know, I'll throw this out there, but you know, I'm an intern, I'm trying to learn, like, can we do lunch? And she was like, absolutely. Like, you know, I think she was thrilled to have lunch with somebody. And I don't even remember what her name wasn't Rhonda. I don't remember what her name was. And but we got lunch. And she was it was so nice. She worked in accounting. We just talked, and she's like, if you could do anything, what would it be? You know, at the company. And I was like, animation, you know, right across the street. She's like, oh my God, like, you know, I'll find, I think I know a recruiter there, you know. And I got in touch with this lovely recruiter there named Camille. I love her. I still love her. So we got in touch over email, and I kept this relationship up for a year. Because I said the only job I would want is in story development. I would like to work with writers, and we kept a relationship for a year over email until she's like, there's an opening in that department. And I worked, you know, in soap operas. I babysat, you know, in the interim.
You were a personal assistant for horrifically awful film producers who we won't name.
Yeah, that's true. I was doing other stuff, and then she got me this interview for a job there, and it was all because I like called the wrong department, but instead of just hanging up, was like, hey, what do you do at the company, you know? And I think everyone's afraid to ask for help or support because they feel like they're bothering someone, and I think that you'd be surprised how willing people are to help. So I think, like, you know, ask for help, ask for support, and really put an emphasis on nurturing relationships.
Nice. That was great.
Give me one
so
second.
it's now time for the rapid fire Disney Pivo questions. First one, would you rather write and direct a Muppet movie or coach the Golden State Warriors for one season? Oren and I, full disclosure, are gigantic Golden State Warrior fans, pre them being really good.
Am I coaching them like today, or am I doing it in today? Okay.
We'll say next year. So next year, you're either writing and directing a Muppet movie, or Clay is back and you are coaching the Warriors. Hard-hitting questions, I'm telling you.
That is so.
They're
so
also supposed
hard.
to be rapid fire, but that's fine. Take your time.
Because I'm thinking about what's at stake for both, like letting down like being responsible or being held responsible for the Warriors not getting where they need to go, or ruining the Muppet franchise. And I think ruining the Muppet franchise is scarier to me. So I think I'm gonna say I would rather coach the Warriors.
I love the way you think that. You didn't think of like, oh, it'd be so amazing to do either. You just think, I know I'm gonna be terrible.
Yeah, when I fail, which one will hurt less? And I think that like holding the Warriors back is not as important to me as holding the Muppets back.
Beautiful. What is your favorite ride at Disneyland or the Disney parks?
I guess Pirates. Yeah.
I will say you are the most fun person to go on the Indiana Jones ride.
Oh no, Indiana Jones! Indiana Jones! Oh God, Indiana Jones! It's been too long. Indiana Jones!
You know what, Oren?
Oh, God.
I'll answer these questions for you. I'll take care of it for you.
No, I know. Why didn't I realize that? I'm normally not a big ride person. Like, I'm terrified of a lot of roller coaster stuff. But that ride is so fun and so interactive.
And Oren is genuinely, there's no one more fun to go on that ride with, because he is screaming, he's yelling, Indy, watch out, watch out. He's getting, and he's doing it semi-ironically, but also he's having fun. It's like the perfect blend of he's joking, but he's also into it. And it's the most entertaining, wonderful thing to be along.
But the artistry on Pirates is amazing. Like I that's why it popped in my head. But you're right. Like it's way more fun, interactive, especially when I'm like yelling at Indy the whole time.
It's great too, because you're always on with like other people, so it's like Oren and I, and then like a young family, and like he's more into it than the kids, and it's a wonderful thing to behold.
So on that ride, Oren is Jewish short round. Is what you're saying?
That's exactly right. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
wish they had that ride at Disney World. We have something similar called Dinosaur, but they should just change it to Indiana Jones because it would be so cool.
What? They don't have Indiana Jones at Disney World?
We have like a stunt show at Hollywood Studios, but we do not have the Indiana Jones ride.
Oh man.
I know, and I'm the biggest Indiana Jones fan.
Wait, have you ever been to Disneyland then?
Nope,
Yeah,
I've
she
only
lives
been
in
to
the East Coast.
She lives
She's
in
lived in New
Florida.
York and Florida. So,
Well,
although
you have to
Oren-
go.
Amanda, did
know.
you apply to Chapman?
I have. I'm
She
officially
applied to USC,
Chapman.
Chapman, NYU, and some New York ones. But
You guys
Chapman
should run
is
some
on the
others.
list.
Oh, for film school?
Yeah,
Yep. I'm going.
Very cool. Oh, let
Oren-
me know if you have questions. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll connect you guys up. Final one. What gives you purpose?
Oh gosh. What? What gives me purpose?
It's good
Once
this isn't live. It's good most of our views are not live on YouTube.
Somebody once told me that it's okay to take your time answering questions, and I've really taken that to heart.
Not on rapid fire questions.
Hamburgers. I think what gives me purpose. I think that Jesus, that's a really good but very difficult question to answer.
Deep.
Like, what did Casey say?
I think
Mustaches.
no, I was Casey
remember
said
the-
something to the effect of like bringing people joy and acting,
Yeah.
storytelling. That's what it was. Telling stories.
Yeah, good answer, Casey. What gives me purpose? You know what? What gives me purpose is, I mean, you have to give a cheesy answer. Okay, I'll say that I think I've learned about myself that creating community gives me purpose. Like I am somebody who I take on way too much to my detriment, but I really enjoy, like I feel like I have tried to start and then end up stopping and start again, like so many different communal spaces like book clubs and writing groups and whatever. But I love convening with other people, like-minded people.
And you did that. That was a job you had as well for a Jewish organization where you would facilitate. You would facilitate.
Why must you out me? God, it was not.
You're a great guy to hang out with. You definitely are. We'll go to the audience Q&A now. We're coming to the end of our journey. Mando, do you want to read the first? I was gonna do Jake and Mando. I was gonna go Jake and Mando, but there's only one. So you guys one of you wants to take first half of the sentence, the other one take the second half of the sentence. Or...
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll read up to the comma, Jake. With your knowledge and experience.
What would be your ideal job in the future? I screwed it up. I stuttered. I had like 4 words.
I would love to be a writer. I would love to be a writer. That's what I want to do. But it is tough out there, folks. So I'm a marketing professional by day.
We are going to go to our next audience Q&A. Luke, you want to take it away?
Yes. What is the best decision you made in your career?
Quitting when I was working for a horribly abusive boss. Here's a bit of career advice I'll give. For anyone interested in the film industry, you'll hear all kinds of promises about, if you stick with me for a year, you can get any job you want. I don't care, no job. I don't care what they promise you at the end. It's not worth a year of your life to be, verbally berated and miserable. So I remember it was my birthday, and I took the day off and watched the Muppet movie and was like, this is peak humanity and they're not even humans. And I want to be treated as a Muppet would. I want to be in a healthy, non-toxic atmosphere. And I quit the next day. It was incredible. My dad was furious, but it was great.
Your parents in general are wonderful people. I love, they're two of my favorite people. But your dad is just, he's amazing. He's ex-Israeli military, right? He's a successful, self-made businessman, and he has zero time for Bay Area millennials.
My dad is, he's a self-made guy who came here in his early 30s, and with nothing, had to start over in a whole new career. And so he kind of, his worldview and his philosophy is, I don't care what you're doing, you do it well and you work hard at it. And that goes for everyone, including if you're 16 and working your first job at a juice bar. And so he just has no tolerance for and I really want to make sure that people understand that my dad is a nice man.
Oh, he's incredibly nice man. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And
guy.
often doesn't understand certain norms. Like I remember that for the first 20 years of my life at restaurants, when he was trying to get a busboy's attention, he would go amigo. Dad, you can't do that. He's like, but I'm calling them friend. And we're at a juice bar and just getting a smoothie or something, and he just takes the smoothie again. It's some acne kid, and my dad just takes one sip of it and just goes this is the worst smoothie I've ever had in my entire life. And he says it really loud, and my sister and I are we call him Abba, which means dad in Hebrew. Abba, keep it down. I was no, I'm not going to keep it down. Just this, you can't serve someone this, and he just goes and makes a big fuss, make it again. This is not acceptable. And it's just a kid, and everyone in the store is on him, you can't talk to him like that. And my dad just doesn't get it. He's everyone should be with me. Everyone should recognize that this is a gross injustice. You can't serve this smoothie to another human. So he's just you don't get it. This is the worst smoothie ever. He has to fix this wrong, So it just became this shouting match between my dad and other people in the store, and my sister and I are accustomed to my dad getting into these horrible situations. I remember one time we were getting breakfast, and there was there's a group that's already paid the bill, and they're sitting at the table still, and it's a crowded restaurant, so you're waiting for their table, but they just don't get up. Everyone else would just sit there and stomach it and be furious, but my dad is goes up to them hey, get up, this is our table. That's my dad, and that just never goes well. Anyway, that's my dad. He's also a nice guy.
I like your dad.
Great.
He's my kind of guy.
No, he really. James and your dad would get along very, very well. They would have a lot of fun together.
And he has this.
I would egg him on. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Bizarre hatred of Ellen DeGeneres, just totally bizarre, totally uncalled for, and then this totally insane obsession with Reese Witherspoon. I saw Sweet Home Alabama.
I love that movie
4 times because of him.
See what I mean? So James also doesn't like Ellen, and he loves Reese Witherspoon.
I love Sweet Home Alabama. I really do. I love Sweet Home.
Him and your dad, we got to connect them up. They're going to be fast friends. And Fawad, they're going to all hang out together.
Yeah, he's a machismo, former Israeli military, but loves to watch Lifetime Movie Network on a Saturday night. So he's
maybe it's an ex-military thing. James is ex-military too. Maybe they.
He's seen a lot, so he needs to unwind.
Yeah, I mean, he was in combat, right? He was
No, that's another great. That's a great. When you grow up with an Israeli dad in the military, oh, he killed people, right? So I grew up every year on Halloween, I'd get a camouflage uniform and say I was Israeli military, and I had this. I would tell people it's the greatest military in the world, better than the U.S. My dad was in it. And I used to tell her, yeah, my dad like was in combat. My dad didn't do anything. He like drove a Jeep around. Like he's like I remember
wait,
like
he did? Because you told
No, he
me when
didn't
we
do
were
anything.
kids, when
Of
we
course
would
I
have
did.
that
I
argument,
told
or you and I would
everybody.
I'd argue that the US military is better. And then you said, yeah, my dad told me he killed a man or something.
I would make up all this stuff about my dad, and then it was like this. I was destroyed when I was like, "Hey, by the way, Abba, like, what did you do in the military?" He's like, "Well, I saw the site of a plane crash once, and you know, I was like, were there dead people?" Like, no, nobody died, but and I was like asking all these questions, like, did you see dead people? Did you hold a gun? Like anything, like, what can I use? And I got nothing. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna make up the coolest thing I can. So
Seems fair.
So we are going to close it out. This has been a treat. Thank you so much, Oren. And this is, if you enjoy the show, follow us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. We're on all the podcasts, every single podcast app there is. There's 4,000 podcasts. Relax on the podcast apps. How many more do we need? Like, there's enough ways to listen to podcasts. So just cut it at like Spotify and iHeart and Apple and all. It's just like a little relaxed. But subscribe. It really helps us out. Support the show. Oren, do you have anything you want to plug? Any you want to plug your IG?
oh, can I plug one quick little thing?
Future.
My sisters and I have two younger sisters, so are like two of my closest friends, honestly. Because I'm a loser, and I got into vintage typewriters, and we started a company very early on, but check us out. It's gonna be cool soon. Basically, it's called Posta, and we will take words that you write and turn them into a letter written on a vintage typewriter, and then send them to whoever you want.
That's cool.
That's so cool.
Check out
cool.
that's our website. I think our story is pretty cool. Posta is the Hungarian word for mail, M-A-I-L, mail. And my grandfather, who's a Holocaust survivor, he Hungarian was his native tongue. So it's kind of an ode to him. And we're like kind of in the process of launching it. So anyone listening, check it out. I think it's cool. It's not gonna set the world ablaze, but it's a little niche thing, and the letters we write on typewriter, they look beautiful. So you're really sending someone like a work of art.
You should get Tom Hanks to be your celebrity endorsements. He loves typewriters.
Yes, I know.
Question:
yes.
on the envelope that you send, do you also type the address on there as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
we do.
so cool.
See, that I think's cool then, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I might do that.
Nice.
I might send my wife a letter that way. That sounds cool.
We're not fully operational yet, but check out our site.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I know it's a whole thing.
Shut up and take my money.
Well, if you get in touch with me, I'll send a free one for you. We're like doing free ones for friends right now. So
Very sweet.
yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for listening, for watching, for showing up live. We are the Unofficial Disney Tonight Show. See you soon.